So I mentioned earlier, I feel like it becomes disorder when it crosses the line into irrationality. It's no longer a rational thought that any person can have. It's some crazy thing that just all of a sudden hit you out of nowhere, and people are just like, if you were to talk to a person who's not in the midst of maybe an anxiety attack or an anxiety moment, they would be like, yeah, this is not right. Where like a normal person would be like, okay, you're being a little off, and you'd be like, okay, but you don't realize it, I don't realize it,
Yeah.
but later you can reflect back and be like, yeah, that was a little irrational, that wasn't definitely like a normal thing to do.
Yeah. I think it's like when it starts to interfere with like your daily life. Like for me, it has gotten to the point where I avoid doing certain things. And that is when they kind of considered it a disorder was because I was letting it control things and I was letting it, not letting it, but it was just getting to that point of it's not okay anymore. It's not something that I was able to handle. It was just like interfering with life more than it should on a regular basis.
Definitely. Or another thing we both discussed is you you feel like you're out of control. Do you feel that? I just feel like it's something you can't stop almost. You just kind of have to let it run its course, and then it's done. And then, like I said, you think back and you're like, that was weird.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like, and I feel like people are like, okay, get yourself together. You need to figure this out. It's like, okay, I'm trying, but part of me physically can't. Because like you said, when it's a brain imbalance, you were born like that. That's not your question is, when does anxiety become a disorder, and when is it just like normal people anxiety?
Yeah, like panic attacks, I know that a lot of times panic attacks like aren't considered a disorder unless you get them frequently. And anybody who's ever gotten a panic attack kind of knows what it feels like. It's that like fight or flight instinct, but over something that you shouldn't have that instinct over. So for example, before you go up and make a speech, there's like that moment of just your heart is racing and like maybe like you're sweating and it's really hard to breathe and like you're shaking. Well, that's what a lot of people get. At least like that's what I get. For like no reason. Like even this morning, I woke up and instantly just had a panic attack for no reason. Like I woke up like there's no reason I should have had one. I just remember like breathing really heavy, like your chest, like my chest gets super heavy where it feels like there's almost like something like weighing on it. Yeah. And that's I think the biggest thing of like feeling out of control of your body is just like there's nothing you can do about it at that point. You can try to work on like breathing exercises, but it just doesn't go away.
Exactly. I think the key point too was it's out of your control. I think that's like a huge thing that people think it's in your control. You can handle it. You're just having anxiety because you're choosing to. It's like, no, you're thinking about the different type of anxiety. Our anxiety it's a in chemical imbalance. You can't help it. It's just like, it's how it is. And I think another thing too, you kind of mentioned, you didn't completely touch on, but the difference between irrational and rational, and I think that's what completely separates normal anxiety is kind of it's a bit more rational. Of course, it can have a little bit of irrational kind of laced in with it, but it's overall rational. Where if you have anxiety disorder, it's definitely irrational stuff that while you're in the moment, I feel like you think it's normal, you think it's okay, but reflecting back, you notice like, okay, this definitely didn't add up. This definitely wasn't normal. It was kind of off. And someone who's not in the midst of anxiety attack or just even simple anxiety can tell you this isn't normal. Someone shouldn't feel like this. It's stuff like that,
Yeah.